the beginning of the story, we see a man named Jiras and a woman named Sarah who are slaves, and are ordered to bring some bricks to their master's house. But the cart that they were using to pull the bricks to their master's house was broken down in the middle of the way, and there we can see that Jiras was fixing the cart. After a while, Jiras has barely been able to fix the cart, and we can see that they have started to pull the cart full of bricks towards their master's house. As they were pulling the cart, the woman Sarah says that she needs to prepare dinner and asks Jiras what she should do. To which Jiras responded by saying that they're going to get in trouble with their master, and that first they need to do the job as quickly as possible. Then suddenly they stop, and their Sarah says to Jiras that they shouldn't go from this way, and she further asks him to take a look at the road, and as he did so, he saw that the road was full of lifeless bodies, and it was a brutal as well as scary visual to look at. Jiras, who was deeply saddened by seeing all this, puts all these things aside, and said it is their young master's birthday, and that if they are late then they are going to be in some big trouble. Hearing that, Sarah still insists on him to change the route, but Jiras then again says that it can't be helped, and that it will at least save them an hour if they take this way. After that, we can see that they both come to an agreement and proceed. But, as they were going from that particular way, it was really a scrutinizing visual, and there were bodies everywhere, and seeing this Sarah started crying. Then all of a sudden, they both noticed a man whose lifeless body was on the ground, and besides his body there was a baby boy who was alive, and he was crying. Seeing this, Sarah was stunned, and she couldn't believe her eyes, and as she was staring at the baby's face she felt really bad. Understanding the depth of the situation, Jiras asked Sarah to go with him, and Sarah also did as she was told. But as she took a few steps forward she felt traumatized and helpless. Just then, Jiras said the sooner the baby leaves the world, the better it will be for him, and hearing that, Sarah just couldn't take anymore. So, she then turned around and started running towards the baby. Within a few seconds she held the baby in her arms, and there we could see that the baby was also smiling. Seeing that, Jiras asked Sarah what she was doing, and if she wanted the baby to live the life of a slave like them. Jiras then further goes on to add that they are crushed people who will never get to enjoy life like a commoner, and that if she really wants to provide this baby the same life. In response to that, Sarah says it was not at all true, and that she is still happy as a slave, and it was all because of Jiras, and he was the one who freed him from that curse. Jiras was flabbergasted after hearing that, and they both agreed to adopt the child and save his life. Fast forward 5 years, we see Sarah is pregnant, and the child that she and Jiras adopted is now 6 years old, and there we get to learn that they named this miraculous kid as Nero. Following that, we see Sarah told Jiras that it was time that he should tell Nero about the secret place at their house, and Jiras agreed to that. Moments after, Jiras asked Nero to follow him, and then he took him to the secret tunnel, which was made by his great-grandfather, and there Nero saw that it was a library. Following that, Jiras asks Nero if he knows the two things that are restricted to the selves, to which Nero says yes and then tells him that one of them is a book and the other one is a weapon. After that, Jiras again asks Nero if he knows what all masters of their world are scared of, to which he says he is not sure. Following that, Jiras say it's the change in the world that they are scared of, and that always starts with a weapon or a book. So, when the world changes, the masters don't want the slave to change alongside it. Then he further adds that his great-grandfather knew that the world will change inevitably, and that's why he wanted his descendants to be ready, and that's why he prepared this place. Shortly after, Jiras took his promise from Nero that he will keep this place a secret and silently prepare himself, and then he further adds that Nero should mark his words that the world will change. Nero takes his words seriously, and he starts preparing himself at that secret place. After a few years passed, one day all of a sudden we see Jiras' lifeless body lying in front of their hut, seeing that Nero's siblings called him from the secret place where he was reading. Following that, we see Jiras was no more, and after his burial, where his family members were paying the last respect to him. Suddenly,